Whenever I visit anime forums, I always see the same statement repeated over and over. If you love Mushishi, then you'll like Natsume's Book of Friends. After all, Natsume is just Mushishi, but set in high school. Although this statement is false, I can understand where the comparison comes from. Both Natsume and Mushishi feature quiet, reserved male protagonists who solve yokai-related mysteries. Their stories reflect the human desire to explore the unknown, and both properties emphasize the importance of lending a helping hand where it's needed. However, even with these similarities, the two properties are starkly different in their tone, subject material, and narrative focus, making Mushishi and Natsume completely unique from each other. Mushishi is a solemn travelogue, taking the viewer on a journey through an alternate Japan where humans are plagued with yokai-caused illnesses. Along his solitary journey, the main character Ginkgo tries to resolve these diseases, moving swiftly from one town to the next as more people require his assistance. It's a tragic, contemplative tale where the only constant is Ginkgo himself, as he never stays in one place for long before his journey continues. In a lot of ways, Mushishi is quite similar to Kino's journey, as the small, fleeting stories are the primary focus of both tales. On the other hand, Natsume's Book of Friends takes place in and around one small town, with an entire cast of characters outside of Natsume that remain throughout the entire series. These characters evolve from episode to episode, allowing for the world of Natsume to expand and grow along with them. While there are some yokai and humans who filter in and out of Natsume's life, the series is fundamentally about the lifelong connections and friendships that he forges. Whereas Mushishi is a story about fleeting encounters on a solitary journey, Natsume's Book of Friends is a tale about forming and protecting the community of a warm countryside town. However, despite these important differences between both series, many anime circles still relegate Natsume to the shadow of Mushishi simply because they both feature yokai mysteries, with Natsume sometimes treated as the lesser of the two properties due to its high school setting, which is tragic, as not only do both properties stand on their own merits, but Natsume's setting is a huge part of why the series is so incredible. Natsume's Book of Friends is a beautiful story about loneliness, honesty, and community, which becomes even more poignant as you watch Natsume and his friends grow up. Despite the presence of yokai and spirits, Natsume's story is grounded in reality with mature depictions of trauma, anxiety, and the courage to trust people again. Natsume's story transcends its high school setting, making it an incredibly important work for children and adults alike. And I'm not alone in that assessment. To date, Natsume's Book of Friends has sold over 17 million volumes, most of which comes from Japan. Although Natsume may be relatively niche globally, the series is so popular in Japan that it has received 7 whole seasons, multiple movies, and an upcoming video game. In fact, Natsume's 7th anime season was so highly anticipated that it ranked 3rd in Japanese television ratings, several places above Dan. A lot of people adore Natsume, and as one of those people, I'm here to explain what makes this series so special. Whether you're already a Natsume fan or are learning about it for the first time, let me take you on a journey through the wonderful world of Natsume's Book of Friends. The story of Natsume takes place in a small rural town in Japan, far away from the bustling noises of the city and the turmoil surrounding it. Natsume Takashi has just moved here for his first year of high school after a turbulent and traumatic childhood. Having lost both his parents in early elementary school, Natsume spent most of his life bouncing from one relative to the next, never finding a place to truly call home. He is further isolated from those around him by his ability to see yokai. The humans in Natsume's life treat him like a burden, suspecting that he is simply acting out and pretending to see invisible things for attention, while the yokai are bewildered that he can see them, often following him around to see what this strange human will do next. And by the time Natsume is 15 years old, he is quiet, easily frightened, and unwilling to open up to others, often faking his smiles to try and keep people from asking too many questions. For most of his early life, Natsume Takashi is completely and utterly alone. And though he tries his best to push that loneliness down, it starts to consume him. That is, until a small sliver of light opens in Natsume's dark world. A distant relatives, Shigeru and Toko Fujiwara, discover Natsume's situation and invite him to live with them in their quiet country home. Despite never raising a family of their own, the Fujiwaras are determined to help the battered Natsume live a happier life. And with that one enormous act of kindness, their intervention starts to change Natsume's future. Under the care of the Fujiwaras, Natsume's small world begins to expand. Not only are Shigeru and Toko warm and patient, but he finds an unexpected connection to his deceased family in this small country town. And much to Natsume's surprise, the yokai in this town keep mistaking him for someone else. Natsume Reiko, his grandmother, who spent much of her childhood here. Not only could Reiko see yokai, but she frequently challenged them to duels, after which the yokai would write their names in a gigantic book of Reiko's minions. As Reiko's last descendant, Natsume is now the owner of this book, and is therefore burdened with the responsibility of the yokai that are bound to it. For the first time, Natsume has discovered other people who can see yokai. And as he unravels his grandmother's connection to the yokai of this countryside town, his perspective on the world begins to slowly change. He learns that Reiko was just as lonely as he was, constantly ostracized from the humans in her life, and sought refuge with the yokai, who were just as starved for companionship in their long, frequently solitary lives. Natsume comes to realize that Reiko's book of minions was aptly named the Book of Friends, as it was her lonely attempt at forging bonds with the only beings that would speak with her. Now, as the inheritor of this book of friends, Natsume is determined to take a different path from his grandmother. Instead of making friends through force, he will return the stolen names of the yokai and make relationships based on trust rather than intimidation. With every name that he returns from the Book of Friends, he learns more about Reiko and the yokai that she awkwardly befriended. And he slowly realizes how similar yokai and humans really are. Just like humans, yokai can be kind, awkward, and cruel. And Natsume's appreciation for humans and yokai grows alongside this realization. This is where our story begins, with a young high schooler who has just inherited his grandmother's legacy and who is ready to start finding a place to truly call home. Throughout each episode, you watch as Natsume's world expands, with the political world of yokai and human exorcists starting to intersect with his own. You feel his pain, his worries, and his sorrow, just as much as you feel his excitement, joy, and sense of belonging. For the first time in his life, Natsume becomes part of a real community, one that he wants to protect and cherish with all his heart. I could spend an entire video just talking about Natsume, but the community he helps to build is just as incredible. Natsume's first yokai companion and self-appointed bodyguard, Nyanko-sensei, is one of the most lovable gremlins in all existence. Spending an equal time drinking sake and eating fried shrimp as he actually helps to resolve conflict, Nyanko-sensei is a bundle of hilarity, frivolity, and boundless charm that makes him a worthy mascot. However, the beauty of Nyanko-sensei is much more than comedy relief. Nyanko-sensei serves as the perfect foil to Natsume, constantly keeping Natsume's often self-destructive altruism in check, while simultaneously enabling Natsume's greatest aspirations. Even if Nyanko-sensei pretends to deny it, the joyful moments when Nyanko-sensei's facade slips and his affection for Natsume peeks through are some of the most poignant in the entire show. Nyanko-sensei is just one lovable, huggable piece of the series' charm. The wonderfully positive small-town boys Kitamoto and Nishimura are the first human friends that Natsume ever makes, who take the quiet Natsume under their wing and help him to experience everything he missed as a foster child. Then there's Natsume's best friend Tanuma, who can not only sense yokai, but becomes a steadfast ally and advocate for Natsume, serving as someone with whom Natsume can be completely honest for the first time. Alongside Tanuma is the wonderful Taki, the most based Nyanko-sensei enthusiast, who serves as the vital third piece to Tanuma and Natsume's trio. While Natsume and Tanuma approach yokai with caution, Taki dives straight forward with determination, providing an invaluable optimism and kindness that is infectious to everyone around her. Opposite from Natsume's human friends are the exorcists, an enigmatic, powerful, and dangerous collection of humans that weave themselves into Natsume's life. Some of the exorcists, like the charming Natori, serve as protective mentors in Natsume's life, trying to defend humans from the crueler yokai determined to hurt them. However, other exorcists, like the callous Matoba, treat all yokai as disposable tools, putting the longevity and prosperity of humans above the safety of their spirit neighbors. Natsume's determination to resolve conflict through kindness and empathy clashes with the exorcist's exclusionary policies, and the tension between them produces some of the most gripping and touching moments in the entire series. The stressful, precarious world of the exorcists is nicely balanced against the dog circle, the lovable group of yokai who form around Natsume and aid him in resolving conflict throughout the countryside. The delightful mid-ranks are the heart of the dog circle, who find every possible excuse to celebrate Natsume with spontaneous, exuberant parties. In contrast to the earnest mid-ranks, the intimidating Misuzu gleefully enjoys a good party just as much as he enjoys hunting down troublemakers, often requiring Natsume's direct intervention before someone gets caught in the crossfire. Just as notorious as Misuzu is the fiery Hinoe, who comes to treasure Natsume just as much as she loved Reiko, becoming a staunch protector who will aggressively defend Natsume and the dog circle from anyone who threatens them. The polite Chobi is the enigmatic pillar of the group, always treating Natsume with the same kindness and respect that he extends to all yokai. When Chobi's true form is revealed, it is one of the most beautiful moments of the entire series. Outside of the dog circle, there are so many yokai that Natsume helps and learns from in return, filling the tapestry of Natsume's book of friends with their hopes, aspirations, and wisdom. At the heart of everything, tying together the chaotic and lovable lives of yokai and humans, are Toko and Shigeru. Despite knowing that he keeps secrets from them, Toko and Shigeru embrace Natsume as their adopted son, serving as the kind, loving pillars from which Natsume can grow and thrive. Natsume's book of friends is bursting with charm, weaving together an earnest, captivating world that becomes just as precious to the viewer as it is to Natsume. More than anything, what makes Natsume's book of friends so beautiful is how it shows that everyone struggles with loneliness, whether you're a yokai or a human. But the series reassures you that even if it's scary to trust people, your future happiness is worth it. We may individually be weak on our own, but that's why it's even more important to forge relationships so that we can rely on and protect each other. That's what it means to create a community. It means you don't have to be alone anymore. Natsume's book of friends stands firmly on its own merits because its message will resonate with you long after each episode or chapter ends. It's a story about admitting your own loneliness and having the courage to take that step forward to overcome it. If this has convinced you to check out Natsume, or to rewatch or reread it, then that is all I could ask for. I would personally recommend checking out the anime first. The anime is the fully realized version of this series, with incredible visuals, music, and voice acting, as well as some of the most seamless anime original episodes I have ever seen. However, make sure to support Yuki Midorikawa's original work as well, so that we can get more of Natsume's story. And while the first season's modest budget is definitely noticeable at times, the series' production value does ramp up extremely quickly throughout every subsequent season, while still maintaining its core aesthetic, which is an incredible testament to the passion of the team working on this series. If you finish watching Natsume and you want to hear more recommendations, I host a seasonal anime review every quarter where I dive into my personal favorites from each season, as well as the anime that gave me irreparable psychic damage, so that you'll know what to avoid or watch at your own risk. I know that the length on those streams can be pretty intimidating, but I always make sure to timestamp all my videos and streams so you can skip around as you like to hear about different series you're interested in. That being said, if you really enjoy listening to me talk about anime and you need something to fill your commute to work, homework sessions, or a long plane flight, then you can check out my full seasonal anime playlist, which at the time of writing has over 22 hours of me excitedly talking about the anime that I love, and the ones that have scarred me and my poor viewers. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry for dragging you all down with me. Thank you for joining me in this first video of my new series, where I'll be diving into my favorite anime and games, and sharing why I think they might become your favorites too.